functions. And the lookup functions. Now, pivot table. A pivot table is a tool that is used to summarize, analyze, and make calculation with data in tabular format. It allows Excel users to compare patterns and check for trends in data. Don't forget, since the beginning of this class, one of the things that we've always mentioned that has been universal, that has come over and over again, is that we are to use Excel for data analytical purposes, which means that whatever it is we're talking about the use of that tool, the use of that feature in how it can be able to help us to analyze data, investigate data, interrogate data, understand data, so that we can make business decision based on what the particular subject matter of that analysis dwells on. And the same thing with pivot table, it doesn't change. If you see, you still see that it's saying that it helps us to what? Summarize, analyze, make calculation within a tabular format. Unlike we have been summarizing data with tables before now, pivot tables do not require the manual application of Excel formulas and functions. And that's actually the beauty of it, all right? Pivot table, it does not require the formula. So you don't necessarily need to have some formula crammed or stress about how to get a particular formula or function to make sure that you're able to use the pivot table. Not at all. You don't even have to understand or know any formula of Excel or functions when it comes to pivot table. And it's so easy to help you to investigate your data real quick, very quickly, very fast, whatever it is you want to get out of your data. And we are going to look at it, all right, as we go on. Pivot table consists of four main areas, basically. And these four areas are the the rows area, the column area, the value area, and also the filter area. We'll see how all of this actually plays out when we get to the practicalization of it. Well, real quick, we could do something just to give us a quick overview of what it looks like. Today, I've come with a prepared data, because pivot table, when you're using pivot table, it's usually very effective, as at the time when it is very, how do I put it? As at the time when it's, your data is quite large, that's when you enjoy it the most, because you have a large data and you can do all your query, your investigation within seconds and minutes. That's why I've had a data prepared for pivot table. When we are doing some of the local functions, we might actually still populate data ourselves like we used to do, But like I said earlier, there are some things that has to be observed, all right? So in the pivot table, one of the things you have to do is, especially if your data is not exactly clean. I got this data, this spreadsheet, I think sometimes ago when I was doing research on pivot table and the knowledge. So this is not a data that I populate myself, or nor is it a data that is quite original. I got it somewhere, I think somewhere online. So that is that. Basically, we've always said something from the beginning of this class, and that is some of the processes that you have to go through when it comes to data analytics, and some of this process is gathering data or data collection. That we have done. And don't forget, for anything at all you want to do, these processes have to be observed. You need to gather or collect your data as the first process, which is what we've already done here. Now, you need to clean your data. If you look at this particular table, you'll see that there are some few things around here. And that is, if you look at this column D, you'll see that it's a free column. Empty column, nothing is there, right? If you look at this row, the row 11, also an empty row. Row 17, also an empty row. Now, I want to show you something quickly before we clean the data, so that you have an understanding of the importance of actually cleaning your data properly. So let's say, as it is now, we want to use a pivot table, all right, without cleaning the data. Okay, so let's go to inserts, all right, and then insert pivot table, somewhere around there. Insert pivot table. All right. Now, there's something I want you to please look at. It's very important so that I can have an understanding. Now, look at what happens. Automatically, Excel picks up the table, the first perceived table where there is no break at all. Do you understand what I'm saying? The first perceived table where there is no break at all. So it leaves out the remaining data on the side, all right? And it leaves out the remaining data also below. And that is because this data is not properly cleaned. And that's one thing Excel will always do for you. It will automatically pick up your data once your data is actually, loaded into the spreadsheet. So let's quickly do a proper cleaning. So let's come to D. All right. We'll delete the column. Let's delete. Then let's look for the rows that are empty. You've selected the first one, just press your control, select the second one. If you have more than 2 rows that are empty, you might have to do the same thing. Just select from the first one, get to the second one, press your control, pick it. If it's 10, you can do the same thing and repeat the process. It's automatically will, help you with selection. Now we've deleted the empty column and the empty rows. So now let's try again with inserting pivot table and let's see how that looks. Sorry, we have to start somewhere around here. Okay. So now if you can see here, you can see that it automatically, does what? It automatically picks all of the data within the table. If you see, keep going, you see that it picks all of the data, even up till the end of the data. So I want you to say so that you understand, if there were to be any break within any of the data around anywhere, that's like going to be where it's going to stop. All right. So just let's keep going till we get to the end of the data. I really want you to see this so that you understand the importance of properly cleaning your data. All right. So you can see till the end of the data, it automatically picks it. So once it picks it that way for you, you can see that it already says it is sales data because that's the title of it. And then it shows the columns and the rows and all of that. Now there's something you can do. You can either select a new worksheet for your pivot table or use an existing one. If you use an existing one, it is very likely that it's going to just create the pivot table beside your data here. But if you use a new one, it will automatically opens up a new worksheet. So in this case, let's use a new worksheet. Now you can see it creates automatically a new worksheet where we can actually, investigate our data with the use of pivot table. So let's quickly go back to the slides. Now it says the most important part of pivot table are what? The areas are rows, column, values, and filter. And I would like us to take a look at that real quick. Now you can see this is the filter area, this is the column area, this is the row area, and this is the value area. Those are the 4 areas where you're going to be using to query, investigate, and do whatever you want to do with your data. Whatever information that you're looking out for, you can always get it, within this, field. So let's keep going. All right, so the rows, this displays category values from one or more fields. That is, columns of the source data arranged in separate rows in the pivot table. Once you start putting all those data, you start seeing, what I'm talking about. This also displays the column area also displays category values from one or more fields, but they are arranged in separate columns in the pivot table. Values, this displays summary statistics for one or more fields at each intersection of the row and column categories. Examples of the summary statistics are sum, count, average, which is, let me show you real quick, which is Okay, we don't have any data here. Let's say, okay, I don't want to start now, but don't worry. All these plenty English that you see, don't be confused about them. All right. When we start putting these things into practicalization, you have a better and perfect understanding of it. The filter allows users to limit pivot tables to only values matching a specific criteria. I will try out all of these things and then you see how that works. Below are several characteristics of pivot tables. A pivot table can be refreshed to reflect changes when the source data is updated. Yeah, we'll also take a look at that too. Pivot table shows both subtotals and grand totals, although both can be disabled. Well, that's true. We'll see all of that. Sorry, there is a. Can we send the data to the WhatsApp group so they can practice alongside with you? Oh, definitely, for sure. That is very, very possible. Cool. Just give me one moment to quickly do that, and then we'll get back to this. Okay, sent. So we can check our WhatsApp group now, and then we can actually find the data. And while we go along, if anyone can endeavor to open their own Excel sheets, and then we can practicalize as we go on all together. All right. So pivot tables allow hierarchical grouping by rows or columns. I hope you understand what that means. Okay, you know what we'll do? Let's start just real quick. Let's start very quickly. So we'll start observing all of these things that have been mentioned one after the other. All right. So let's start. Okay. All right. Just the first one says pivot table allows you to refresh, right? All right. So now when we talk about values, when it comes to pivot table, your values has to be something that is calculatable, numerical, figure. You cannot put any qualitative kind of data into the value area. It has to be quantitative. And in this case, okay, I think another thing we need to quickly do is let's okay, so let's do a little bit more of cleaning. Let's delete this. Let's delete this. So now, as it is, the ref area, we don't really know what it means. It doesn't really say anything. So let's make sure that we make it something that we can understand. Revenue. All right. I think our cost is still okay as it is. Date is okay. Unit sold is okay. Products, order ID, and customer. I think that those are all okay. So let's go back to creating a pivot table. All right. Same as before, new worksheets, and then we have it here. Now, these are the different data point that we have: order ID, products, units sold, date, revenue. Now, let's say, for example, we want to take a look at the revenue. And then all you need to do is to drag the sum of revenue. Now, don't forget, something, there was a part that says, sorry, I'm not using WhatsApp currently, so how can I get access to it? I'm not exactly sure on how that could be done, but maybe after the class, we could look for ways that we can get it across to you. So as we keep going, all right, one of the things that was mentioned the other time was this area. Let's go back here, where it says The values display summary statistics for one or more fields at each intersection of the row and column categories. Example of the summary statistics are what? Sum, count, average, maximum, minimum, etc. So we look at that right now. So now we are here. If you look, you can see that these are the different things that you could do. Sorry, sum of revenue. Oh, there is a lot of differences between this particular uh, form of Excel and the original form of Excel. But I know there is always a way around it. All right, so now this says remove sum of revenue, which is not what we are trying to do. Show values. Okay, so you can see summarize values by, you can see there is sum, there is count, there is average, there is max, there is minimum, product, and all. So let's say automatically now when we drop our data there, the first thing that happens was that it automatically summed the total amount of revenue. Let's say we are interested in the count of revenue that we have. Once we click count, you see it changes to 700, telling us that the total number of counts within the revenue is actually what? 700. Ideally, if it were to be on the normal Excel sheet, you should be able to change all those even from here. All right. But I guess it's different with the version I'm using. So come along with me, but there's always different ways to get a single thing done in Excel. Let's say we want to look at the average, you can do that. We want to look at the minimum, you can do that. But in this case, let's retain it as the sum. So the sum of revenue. Now we want to look at, say for example, we want to look at the sum of revenue per customer. All right, per customer. I think there is, okay, let's say per product, sorry. The cost of revenue per product. So now we have put the products in the rows area. So you can see that the cost of revenue for each of the products is displayed here. And then the grand total is then displayed here. All right. So let's say we want to do it per order ID instead of products. Now, there's a way you can always remove and add a column or a particular filter to any of the fields. Just if you're not interested in it anymore, just drag it into the field here and it should automatically delete it and go back to what you have, only thing that you have. So let's say by order ID, you want to check by order ID. You can see the sum of revenue by what? By order ID is what we can see. All right. Let's say, for example, we don't want to check by order ID, we want to check by customer. So let's delete this also. And I think by customer makes more sense because at least we have how many unique customers. You'll see that we have 5 unique customers basically. And each of the customer here has spent this, we've made this amount of money from each of the customer that we can find here. Now, there's a whole lot of ways that you can tweak to visualize whatever it is you're doing with the pivot table. All right. So now there was a part of there was a part of our presentation that mentioned something like you can do the pivot table in ascending or descending order. I'm not exactly sure which of the slide, but I know that we went through something like that, not quite long. So pivot table shows both subtotal. We'll also take a look at that. It can be refreshed. We'll also look at that. Hierarchy, yeah, this is where I'm talking about. Pivot table allows, I hope that we are able to see. So the part I'm talking about is actually this third bullet point on the table. The part that says pivot tables allow hierarchical grouping by rows or what? Or columns. So hierarchical grouping means that you can group it in hierarchy from 1 to what? To 5 if you are using the customer. All right. But let's say, for example, the hierarchy that you're interested in is not actually by customer, it's by the sum of revenue. All right. So if it's by the sum of revenue, what can you do? You can actually group it in such a way that let's take a look at that. So you can actually group it Okay, sorry. Let's. I want to actually do the. If you want to group by, if you want to group by the highest amount, the revenue that has that the customer that has the highest amount. Let's take a look at this. So general, okay, there are other things you can do, a whole lot of other things here. So um custom is not here exactly. Okay. So just pardon me, because of the version that we are using, some of these things are not exactly the way it's on the Excel sheet, in the original Excel. Okay, cool. I think data set has been sent as a link, so we can all like access it through the link from the chat. But let's say, for example, from here, we want to like do descending order. Descending order, okay, that's it. Descending order now then brings it from the last to the first. And if you look at it, I think we actually have the last number as the first one. All right. So there are ways that you can also do by the highest amount of purchase. But let's look at inserts. If we are lucky that we can find that here. It's not here because ideally you're supposed to be able to do that from there's something they usually call pivot table analyze on the original Excel version that can help you to be able to do that. And you can also use slicer. Let's see what we can get out of slicer. Not exactly what I'm looking for, but we'll still get there also eventually. Okay, so you can do, here is all the subtotal. If you want to show subtotal, if you want to show grand total, if you want to show both, whatever it is that you want to show, you can actually get it. All right. You can do a whole lot of different designs in terms of the type of stuff you want, how you want it to be shown, and all of that. A whole lot of things can be done, but we just stick with what we were using from the beginning, actually. All right. I think this is the one we were using from the beginning. Okay. So yeah. Now there are a whole lot of other things that you can do, like I said. So you might have to even play around with all of these things yourself because you might not be able to cover everything. It's a lot. So let's assume now that you want to like maybe like take a look at customer by product, all right? Customer by product. So now you can see that for customer five, everything that customer five bought and the sum of revenue that the customer five bought is summarized, within this area. For customer four, chocolate chip, all of the product that they bought and the amount. Now, there's another thing you could do. Say, for example, you don't want to do it by customer, you want to do it by product. You can move the product up and move the customer down. What does this do? What this then do? This then shows you per product what each of the customer actually buys. All right, per product. Don't forget the first one was we have per customer how many products and how much the customer buys. That's where you see customer five bought chocolate chip, fortune cookie, and the amount of all of these things that they bought. But you want to take a look and say by product, not exactly by customer. Then it changes that okay, for chocolate chip, customer five bought this, customer four bought this, that, and what and that. Now we can also do what? We can also do, let's, for the other ID, let's even change. Let's put products into columns. Did you see what happened here? What happens here is that the customer still remains the same way it is. But because we now put products in the column, it then put what? All of the products in each of their own column. All right. And summarizes how much of each of these products is bought by customer. So for chocolate chip, customer 5 bought 31429.7.5. Customer 4 bought this. For fortune cookie, customer 5 bought this. So like I said again, you can do different things. Okay. So when it comes to filter, you can filter by any of all these things that you actually want to also do. All right. Let's say, for example, you want to filter by order ID. Okay. You can see that we have another column on top within the chart. All right. Then we have all of the other IDs. So if you want to say, for example, want to look at a specific order ID, what can we do? You can click on each of the order ID and then you'll see what happens when you click on each of the order IDs. Let's select this item. Can you see? So it means that the order ID reflecting that it is sugar and is bought by customer one. How many? 1.53. Grand total is this. Let's assume that we don't want to filter by order ID and we want to filter by unit sold. All right. Even unit sold might even stress us a little bit. Let's take a look at something that, okay, let's assume that we want to filter by date. All right. So we bring in the date here. We just select a particular date. Let's assume that we select this particular date, for example. Now, on this date, these are the orders that were bought. All right. If these dates were to be significant to us in terms of, say, for example, we're looking for a day where we have the highest sales or the lowest sales. Yes, you can filter by date and then look at whatever it is that you want to actually look at. Say, let's remove the date also, and then let's filter by okay, let's remove the column from let's remove the product from column and then let's filter by products. All right. Now you can see these are all the products here. If we choose chocolate chip, for example, you can see the revenue for chocolate chip. All right. If we come here and we choose fortune cookie, you can see the amount, the order of fortune cookies. So like I said again, there is a whole lot of things that you can do with pivot table. It makes your life very, very easier. You can quickly look into no matter how large the data is and have an understanding of some insights based on what your own need is. So let's assume that this particular analysis, what we are trying to get out of here is which of the customer actually, let's say for example, want to give customers gifts for Christmas. I want to find out which of these customers will make the most revenue from. All right. We can easily do that by doing what? By just let's take out the customer, all right, and let's put the product in rows. Okay, and then let's filter by customer. All right. Now, customer one, select the item. Customer one is what? 5 to 1. And we see how much customer one actually buys. Unless there's another sneaky thing that could happen. Let's assume that I want to give the customers that buy the highest product. So the customer that we want to give a Christmas gift for chocolate chip. So the customer that buys the highest for chocolate chip, we want to give them a gift. The customer that buys the highest product for fortune cookie, wants to give them a gift. This is a very good way to do that. If you look at this table, we can see that in this table, the customer that has the highest purchase for chocolate chips, if that is the case, we don't filter by customer, we filter by products. So let's quickly do that. Let's bring in our customer here, and then let's filter by products. All right. So let's filter, let's say chocolate chip first, like we did the other time. All right. So now we can see that within this, all right, the customer that actually bought the highest for chocolate chips is customer 3, 589,200. We put it down. You can see if you look at another product, it might not be the same customer 3 that bought the highest. Let's look at fortune cookie. What customer bought the highest product? The customer that bought the highest product for this is customer 4. So it can make this thing very easy. We just put it down, and then know that the right customer are actually the ones that we are sending the right gifts to. A whole lot of things you want to do with your analysis. Before we move further, does anyone have a question? I would like to treat our question first before we go to other features, that we can do or other things we can do with our pivot table. Any question?
Hello, I tried to, I got the data from the WhatsApp. I tried to do it, but it's saying data set not valid. So I don't know. I deleted the columns, I deleted the rows, but it was saying not valid.
How did you do it? Can we walk through it quickly? So after you loaded your data, all right, you can see the data within your Excel sheet, right?
Yes.
Okay, which means that problem number 1 solved. All right.
Yeah.
So when you see data in the Excel sheet, You already deleted what? You deleted the what?
The
The
column
the
D,
empty column, right?
and the empty
And you
rows.
deleted the empty rows, and then
Yes.
you have a full. So after you did that, what did you do next?
Then I had to put the selector on the first part. Then I tried to do the pivot table. It selected the table, the section, the range of the data set. There, I saw the
All of the
dialog
range, right?
box. I saw the dialog box,
All
and
of
then
the range was selected.
yes,
All right. So when the dialog box comes out, what happens?
yeah, I tried to click OK because after looking at the dialog box, so that I can open it in a new worksheet. Clicked OK,
Okay.
and it says invalid data.
Uh, what version of Excel are you using?
Uh, 2010.
Is it the real Excel, or you are probably using it from a third-party app like I'm doing?
No, no, it's not it. I'm using Excel, but it's all these pirated ones. Mm.
Mm.
2010.
Okay,
That
I
is.
actually cannot tell what exactly is the problem, except for maybe if I get to look at it. But with the process that you said that you followed as it is, you should not have any problem with your
Yeah.
data. Or do you want me to walk through the data from loading again? Maybe we can like
No,
delete
no,
all of
there
this,
won't be
then
need. There
start
won't be
new.
need. You can just continue with the other lesson, just as a, in case there's anything. But when I
Nothing
try
has
to
to
scroll
run.
down, I find out that it's quite large. The number is quite much. So I couldn't get to the
Yeah,
end.
yeah, the number is
Uh-huh.
large actually, and
But
that's
when we did
what
it
is
in the
meant.
screen, I thought we got to the end.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. I will use a
So
smaller data to work on it. Let's
no,
continue.
like I'm saying, yeah, the beauty of pivot table is when you have a large data set.
Large.
And
Okay.
again, have you tried it again? Like after the first time, did you try it one more time
Yeah,
and see
I
if
did. Let me drop the message on what's this screenshot on WhatsApp, and then
all right, please do. So aside from, and please don't forget that when we have a question, the first thing that we do should be to mention our name so that we can reference your name properly. So what is your name? Sorry. Okay, so as we go again, when you have a question, please give us your name before going for the question. Is there any other kind of question? Any other question before we move forward? Okay, so I'll take that as though there is no question. All right. So um at this point, there are, like we said, there are a lot of things that we could get to do from our Excel sheets, but let's continue with our presentation. Then as we move forward, we'll keep trying them and then we'll see how all of these can be applicable. For the pivot table, I think that is the end. Now, from pivot table, we go to pivot chart. What is pivot chart? Pivot chart is simply the visual version of the pivot table, just like we did yesterday when we were looking at charts and graphs and all of that. So pivot chart is a visual representation of a pivot table. It's as simple as that. Just as the regular charts and graphs in Excel are used, oh, sorry, pivot charts are also used to summarize data, make comparisons within data, check for patterns and trends in data, with the only difference being that pivot charts are linked to already created pivot tables and not directly to the data source. As such, pivot charts and pivot tables are interconnected and they are both used to summarize data. What we are trying to say here is simple. Now, some of the things we could do, just as we mentioned, is let's just let's just okay. So um, so we can, as it is from here, we can try and even convert this table, what we have here, into a pivot chart. All right. And in that simple form, just as it usually is, once we already clicked on, on our pivot table, one thing we could do is just put it in form of a chart. all right, pivot chart. And you can see we can select any of these things that we want. Let's say, for example, in this case, we select the bar chart, all right. Let's say we select the bar chart. This is losing just a little bit of time. This is strange. Network error. Okay, this is really strange. All right, let's see if we can do that from here. Still the same thing, we should not be having this issue. But let's enter pivot. Okay, this is cool. Now, as you can see, all right, you can see that what we have here is the exact same thing that we have here. And if you change anything at all, it reflects on the chart. Let's say here, for example, we want to just, instead of looking at all of the five or all the customers, we're interested in looking customer 1 and customer 3 and customer 5. All right. You see that as the pivot table changes, the pivot chart automatically also changes. All right. So we could put it back together, put the R5 and select all, you know. But what you do is whatever it is you do automatically reflects on your pivot chart. Say one of the things that I was saying the other time about say for example, let's try some of the other things that we did earlier. Let's say we want to look at we want to put the products in column. All right. We can see that what we have within our charts, our table, is the same thing we have within our charts. All right. Is that clear at all? Is that clear? Do you understand what we are trying to get here? Just let me know that we are together. Are we
Yes.
together?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. So now we can also change the charts from here, you know. Let's say we want to change the chart type, and then in this case, let's just use the column chart. And then we use the first one, all right? And then you can see the column chart. Now there are also different things to do. What we have on this chart, on this table now, is what we are looking for. Is what we are looking at on the chart. Let's say, for example, we just want to like look for just, let's say two products. We got 3 products: chocolate chip, fortune cookie, and then white chocolate. All right. And then we okay. Automatically, it adjusts back to those 3 products. All right. If you change it back from that and then you still select all, automatically it changes back. Whatever it is you do also reflects. Let's say, for example, instead of having the product as a column, we want to have, you see now that the column has removed, automatically it changes back to what we have in pivot table. Let's say, for example, we want to understand the units sold per product. So we are going to filter by units sold, all right, per product. Per product. But we want the product to be here, and then the customer to be here. Now you can see. Now, what do we have here? We have each product per customer being in the column area. All right. So if we then want to filter per unit sold, all right. So we can look at how many units sold here for this particular, customer. Whatever it is you want to do, you could do as much as you can, as many as you can. To be honest, play around, have fun, look at it. I showed you earlier the parts where you can actually use grand total, grand subtotal, whatever it is you want to use. But like I said, all of the things we are doing today is just to play around because we don't have the specific purpose for the analysis. If you, for example, you are analyzing the data for a company and there is a KPI for that data, let's say, for example, Check gives us a data, and then the purpose of that analysis that we are supposed to do is to look at how many students did not miss any of the days of the masterclass. We could filter the pivot table in such a way that we can see that very openly and also put it into what? Into a pivot chart. Just like it was said, it can always, always, always be like that. All right. So is there any other further question before we go forward? Any question at all? So I'll take it as though we still don't have question for now. All right. Then another thing I would like us to quickly do is let's try using a slicer. All right. So we can insert slicer, and that slicer can be based on any of these options. All right. Let's assume that I want to insert a slicer for dates, and then we then okay. Now these are the different available dates here. Okay. Now if you click on any of these slicer, any of these dates, it's automatically changed, and that also includes the pivot chart. Let's assume that okay, let's bring in our chart back. All right, let's just quickly bring back our chart. So let's bring back our charts. Let's say we are using this. All right. Let's say we are using this. Now, you can see for each of the products, this is the amount sold for the particular days that is being selected. Now, if you choose this, the number changes, the chart changes. If you do this, the number changes. That's what it means by creating a slicer. Let's delete the slicer, for example, and then let's create another one. Okay. Let's say you want to slice by give me an idea. Just give me an example. Which of the slicer would you like us to try? Let's have suggestions so that I'm not the one that is just bringing in all of these things. I don't give me an idea based on what it is that we are trying to do here. Let's choose a slicer that understanding and visual of what we are doing, what analysis we are trying to make. Let's do that real quick.
Product.
You can put it in the chat table. Yeah, I'm with you. What's your name, please?
Patrick.
Your name is Bad.
Patrick.
Patrick. Oh, Patrick. It's good to have you here. All right, let's have it. Give us a suggestion. Which one would you like us to actually, try to interrogate the data? Which of these filter?
Product.
Products. That's fine. So let's do products. As a matter of fact, you can do more than one, but it's usually advisable to do one so that I don't have anything jam-packed. Now we have how many products here? We basically have 6 products. Now, when you pick chocolate chip, it automatically gives you the breakdown of, all of the people that has bought. Person number 1, the product, the chocolate chip that he has bought, and you can see, the chart also here on the side. All right. If you pick fortune cookie, for example, it shows you what that has been bought. If you picked, oatmeal, for example, whatever it is you pick, you just, you get to see it. And again, let me mention real quick, filter and slicer are quite similar. All right. But slicer is faster for investigation and interrogation of your data. Filter, you might have to like go up and down, select something, and then that will just be it. But for your slicer, all right, slicer does not really take time. Just by just selecting just a single thing, you just get all the things that you're trying to look for, you're trying to look out for. All right. So let's also delete this and also try another type of slicer. Okay. Let's try,
Okay.
sorry, product. Okay, I think we already did product. So let's try another type of slicer. Say, sorry, we have to first of all click on our distance for it to work. So let's say we want to slice and check by, okay, let's say our cost. That's a very interesting one, our cost. Now, what this our cost is doing here is showing how much each of these products is actually purchased. All right. So let's say sugar is purchased for how much? Uh, is 642, but the cost that you have for that sugar is actually 26.57. You can quickly, be able to like calculate your own profit with that. And there's another thing also that is possible. I'm not sure if that is going to be doable from here. All right. I want to see, because there are ways where you can calculate different things also. All right. I just want to like change this real quick. And then don't mind what I'm doing. I'm just trying to put it back to its normal place. So let me bring back the customer to the rows and then the product to the column. All right. Okay. So let's have for all products instead of just sugar. All right. So let's assume that you want to actually calculate your profit margin. How do you calculate profit margin? Let's remove the products, and then you want to calculate the profit margin, or you want to look at the percentage of each of these products. All right. Let's delete our charts too. Say you want to look at the percentage of each of these products. What we can do in that, and so you know that, okay, what percentage of this particular revenue is within the total revenue? What's the percentage of this revenue from person 5? So what you can quickly do is you can actually bring the revenue. Sometimes it works that way. Bring it back, sum of revenue. You can see that we now have two sum of revenue, which is not what we want to do. So let's change this to percentage. All right. Let's change this to percentage of revenue. Yeah, we can choose what we want to take. This is not actually the best option now. So we can still go for this. And then we come back here to actually choose what we want. Show value as what? As percentage. Is it percentage of grand total, percentage of total, or percentage of column total, or percentage of row total? What percentage exactly do you want it to be? All right. In this case, I'll go for the percentage of column total. And now you can see this amount from person 5 automatically says is 15.7% of the whole sales. Percentage, this 4 is, so at the end of the day, you see that the grand total is the 100%, and then it breaks it down to the percentage of each of these revenues. So you know that, oh, okay, from person 5, from all our total, we have 15.4% from person 5, which is a significant amount of percentage. Oh, for person 3, we have 30.51%. And this is actually a faster way of actually getting insight into knowing which customer is contributing the most within your revenue spectrum, so that basically also, it works, to be honest. This, is also the value, the column that we have here, basically. So yeah, what else can we do? Like I said, there is a whole lot of things that we could do with pivot table. You see, which we've seen how we can show it, in pivot charts, how we can actually, interrogate and investigate our data in different ways, in different formats. In the original Excel sheet, there's actually a part where you can see the pivot table being, you know, you would have had it as though, the pivot table can just automatically give you suggestions on which of these tables you can actually use. Like Excel will give you suggestion of the possible investigation you can do through your pivot table. But in this particular version, I don't have it. So I'm not able to show you that. Please resend the Excel sheet. Okay. I think there's already a link that is being provided. If you can see this link, you can download the dataset here already. So come through the chat, scroll up a little bit, and then you can click on this link as it goes. And like I said, there is a whole lot of things you could do. For this particular masterclass, there's limits to what can be shown because of the version that is being used. But if you want to actually get to the advanced level of how to use pivot table and pivot chart, I'm sure there is a course actually that is also within that area, within that spectrum that Odumaritech has. I encourage you to please go for it so that you can have the in-depth detail of each of the features that you can make use of within the pivot table. And I can guarantee you're going to also love it. Excel is quite, it's quite versatile. And if you're not exactly used to how much of a thing you can get to do from it, you might not exactly, you might be limited in your skill of Excel. So let's go to, we've done pivot table, we've done pivot charts. Let's move forward to lookup function. We've done pivot charts, just maybe a little bit of review, which says pivot chart includes a variety of charts. We already see that all these are possible. I think we used column charts and bar charts when we were looking at the data. We could have used any other charts that is suitable for what we're trying to get out of it, And if you see, it says it includes a variety of charts, which gives users a pool of options to choose the charts that best fits their data set. Among them are line charts, area chart, bar charts, column charts, pie chart, donut chart, funnel charts, tree chart. There's advanced chart that we talked about yesterday. And if you can remember, you remember that we talked about radar charts, scattered charts, and all. Some of these advanced charts are not exactly suitable for pivot table charts. So which means that they are not exactly suitable for pivot table or pivot chart, except for the common ones that is already stated here. So lookup function. Lookup function is actually one of other interesting features of Excel. We won't look at all the pivot lookup functions today. We just look at maybe one or two, and then we'll go back home, test others, try others, and then we'll give feedback tomorrow. And that will be one of the things that we'll treat first before we go into tomorrow's class. So what are lookup functions? Lookup functions are used to reference a cell to match values in another row or column against the cell, thereby retrieving the corresponding result from the rows and columns. I know this might be a little bit of big English, all right, but let's just quickly look at something. In this case, we might have to populate our own data, all right? So let's create a new sheet for lookup function, all right? So there are different types of data that we can actually populate or that you can make use of for lookup function, depending on what you're actually trying to do, all right? And whatever it is you're trying to do, you're probably trying to get something out of it. So let's try something. Let's populate our data. All right. Let's populate our data for lookup function. Can someone give us a suggestion of what kind of data we should bring together? Let's have it. Let's suggest within the chat, or even you can unmute your mic and give us suggestion of which data should we actually populate? Okay, numeric data. Definitely, it has to be numeric. It has to actually have both qualitative and quantitative, which means it must have both numeric and, well, not exactly, but in most cases, it usually does, numeric and then the descriptive version of the numeric. So numeric data, that's cool. Let's try something. I'm sure we are all very familiar with products, just like we've been talking about now. Let's try products, all right? So let's say our top products are the ones that we have here, all right? Sales data. Okay, this is a little bit messy. Let's say our top product is the one. Let's quickly do our products. So products. All right. Let's just copy and then paste here. All right. Let's assume that these are the products that we have. And then we are trying to get we are trying to like perform a lookup function that helps us to be able to get something real quick. So we have, let's title, instead of products, let's title it, say, for example, okay, just product is fine, to be honest. But let's bold in it to make it easier. Can also give it a color. Can give it a color. Let's use this. All right. So now let's assume that we want to do a match. Okay, we have different lookup function. Like I said, we're just going to select just maybe two today. We won't treat all of them because some of this might take us a lot of time to actually be able to populate. I might not be able to go, but let's look at them first, all of them, before we then come back and then try one or two of them. So for the index, this function returns what? A value or the reference. Okay, the part I wanted to actually talk about the other time is, okay, this explanation. So let's quickly do that so that this English does not sound too strange. So now this is products table, right? Now let's assume that for lookup function, what usually happens is usually have an equivalent number, or you want to compare something with another. All right. So now you can see that on this table, the chocolate chip is the number one and it's on one. So now there's something you need to understand here, that this chocolate chip is on cell number 4 does not mean it actually will read number 4. But in the things that we are trying to do, the chocolate chip is number 1 on the list, which means that it's going to count it as number 1. It's going to count this as number 2. I hope that is clear. All right. I hope that is clear.
Yes,
Can
it is.
someone?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
cool.
clear.
So now let's say here we want to do something. Let's say we have, now here we have the products here. All right. And then here we have the position here. All right. So just the way we did the other time, let's still find a way to give it the same color that the other one has. All right. So now let's say we choose sugar, for example. Now, what this is saying, what this part is saying, what this part is saying is that lookup functions are used to reference a cell, to match values in another row or column against the cell. And let me explain what that means. What that means that this lookup function is used to what? Reference a cell in another cell. Now, this is a cell. All right, this is the table that we have. There is sugar here in this table, and there's also sugar here. So this cell of sugar belongs to a particular position here. So now if you want to reference the particular position that is on this area, then we can do that. Do you understand the explanation? So you are trying to reference a cell from another table to show the equivalent value of that cell in where you are trying to reference it from. So we are going to come back and try that with one or two of this formula, but I hope that that is understandable
Yeah,
and you are able to understand it.
excuse me.
All right.
We will have product. Yeah, I thought you wanted to say product and position. So, well,
Hey,
yeah,
sorry,
and
and position. Sorry, that was a mistake. And position. Thank you for that observation. All right. So product and position. So now we want to reference the position of sugar here. We can automatically give you the formula that calculates it. And whenever it is we change that product, it automatically gives us the position that that product is. All right. Let's make it a little bit bigger. So I hope that is understandable. If there is a question, please don't forget to ask. So as we go, okay, trying to take this off of my screen. Thank God. Okay, so now that explanation is out of the way. Please, this can be very funny if you don't have an understanding of it properly. That's why I'm trying to take my time to explain very well. So here it says that this function returns a value or the reference to a value from within a table or range. The syntax of the index function is equals index, array, row number, column number. Where the array is, I hope you all know what an array means. Do we all understand what an array means? Please, if you don't hesitate to ask so that I can explain that for you. All right. Don't forget, like the other time when we were talking about range, this is a range from here to here. All right. This particular data does not have an array, but I will show you what array is. Now, from here to here is an array of data. So if this customer, as it is, say, for example, we want to look at customers against other kind of, area. So this customer remains as, say, the position, for example, and then these other ones are arrays of what? Arrays of data. I hope you understand that. If you don't have an understanding, please don't hesitate to ask, like I always say. And I hope my explanation is clear. So as we go, the index has its own formula. Aside from the index, we also have another one that is called match. All right. So the match is a function that returns the position of a value within an array. Below is the syntax of the match function. We have the syntax here, which says equals match. Then you have the lookup value. Usually the lookup value is actually going to be the first value that you actually want to do. So in this case now, let's assume that we want to do a match, let's say a match formula. All right. Now, if you can see, you see that it says lookup value. Our lookup value is usually the value that we want to actually always check the position with. All right. But because this particular data does not have an array, match will not exactly be the best formula. But I just want you to understand what it means, what the lookup array is. So the lookup array is usually what you actually want to like compare it with, what you want to actually get out of it. All right. So if you say, for example, you are using the index. Say we are using the index formula, for example. Yeah. Now, the index is what? Is the array, which is all of this area. And then the row number, I'll probably put the row number of sugar. And then the column number, I'll do that also, and then the area number, and that will give me the index very, very easily. So let's go, then we'll come back and do all of this at once. The lookup value is the value whose position is being returned. The lookup array is a column or row. I hope that is understandable. Just the same thing I've explained now. Is a column or row where the lookup value can be found. The match type determines the type of match to be performed, and it can either be exact match. This finds the first value that is exactly equals to the lookup value. Less than this return the largest value that is less than or equals to the lookup value. All right. And then the greater than also what returns the smallest value that is greater than the lookup value. This is a little bit. We have different types, of, aside from the ones we looked at, both the index, the match, and then we have the VLOOKUP. We also have the we have the HLOOKUP, and most of these ones actually comes in true or false value, which, for the VLOOKUP, it usually returns either the exact match or it returns an approximate match. The same thing also with the HLOOKUP value. All right. So let's just try one or two of this, and then we can go into question before we then go further. But for now, as it is, if there are any questions that you'd like to ask, please bring them up. Let's quickly address them before we go further into, the performance of some of this action, basically. Any question at all? I'll take it as though there are no questions. So let's try two of these things that we've been talking about. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this out of the way. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So for this now, let's try the match with this. Okay. So for the match, let's perform the match, which is match. Then the lookup value will be our sugar. All right. And then the lookup array will be all of this area. Don't forget not to take the product with it. All right. But before that, there's something we need to do. After the lookup value, don't always forget to add your comma in front. All right. Then you then put the lookup array. All right. So once you do that, just enter it. And then automatically, what do you get? You get 5. Now, that is the match, which means that it's matching the value of the array that is being specified. And if you count, just like I said the other time, the chocolate chip is not going to be in 4, it's going to be the number 1 because it's number 1 on the array that is being selected. So you have chocolate chip 1, fortune cookie 2, oatmeal raisin 3, snicker doodoo 4, sugar 5. Now, if we change this, for example, let's say we change it to 6 and enter. Sorry, let's say we change this to oatmeal. It has to be from here. Oatmeal raisin. Let's just copy and paste. Copy. And then let's paste it here. And then we enter it. It's supposed to, something is wrong. So let's say 5 again. I think some let's try our formula again real quick. Something must have happened. Then which is 1, comma, and then our lookup array is going to be this, and then enter. Ultimate reason is 3. When we change it, oh, I'm supposed to lock it. Okay, yeah, it's locked already. So if this is changed to 4, for example, it's supposed to change. Something's going on. Something's wrong. And that's very strange. I hope it's not the version that is causing this problem. Because automatically, once you put, you're not supposed to, you don't need to be putting the formula every now and then. Once you do it once, it should actually, oh, I see, comma, and then the array is this. Oh, I see now. That should be it. So 2 should change. If it doesn't, something is wrong, and I apologize for that. I hope that doesn't have to do with version, like I said. Ideally, once you perform that, you don't have to keep coming back. It's supposed to be updating by
Required.
itself. Sorry,
Is it not the product that you'll be changing? So it
That's
will,
what I'm saying. Even and now in this case, whether you change the product or not, it's still not giving you the value that it's supposed to be. Ideally, you see the formula has already disappeared, and that's the worry. It's supposed to stay. Chocolate chip, for example, if you match it, and then your lookup array, your lookup value should be the C4, and then the array should actually be this. Once you enter, let's change this. It's supposed to work. Honestly, I hope something is not wrong. Oh, okay, it works now. So you change the lookup value. If you change it to anything, it's supposed to actually give you the corresponding,
position.
number. So okay, this works now. So let's try the last one. Okay, so now we can see how that works. It does what is it matches your lookup value into the array that it belongs to. That's what you do. For the index, all right, the way you do index also is just similar to this too. But in most cases, the index usually have multiple arrays. And let's just quickly come here and copy some more data that we want to use for the that we can use for the index. To be honest. So let's do from here. Let's do from the units sold. So revenue cost for, let's just say 6. Let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it remains 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So let's come to sheet. And then let's populate that. Okay. All right. So if you want to do the index here, all right, it's still similar to what we did with the what we did with the position, what we did with the match. So for this particular one, it's just using your what's it called? Your let's change this. All right, so let's just clear it up. Just use index. So the index, then you have to like put in the array, which let's say, for example, the array is from here to here. All right. Then the row number, okay, the row number should be, oh, we've not really set anything here yet. The row number should actually be, I'm not sure this data is going to be effective for what we want to do because of the amount we have is going to be too much. Let's try and populate a data that will be simpler to understand. All right. So we'll probably just do, we'll leave our unit sold as it is. We'll change the dates because dates shouldn't really, it's not likely going to be effective. And let's say we use, instead of the dates, what can we use? Let's just leave that aside for now. I'm trying to think about something we can use so that it can be very understanding. Let's change the date to say, for example, tax. Let's say it's the tax on each product. And then let's say this particular product has, let's say this is, the tax on it is $38. And then this one is probably 20, $26. And then this one is probably $47. And this one is probably $35. And this one is probably $23. And this one is probably $32. All right. We can still retain our revenue actually. And then let's take away this cost. All right. Let's take that away. This is too long. Let's start with sugar. All right. Okay, so um in this we have the sugar area has 23. Or let's even start with the first one, chocolate chip. Chocolate chip. And it has 38, right? So it has 38. All right. So let's say we want to do the index thingy with it. Which is going to be equals index equals index. All right. Then our distance is going to be this. Our array is going to be this. Our row number is going to be, our row number is going to be, oh, sorry. Our array is going to be this. Our row number is going to be, it should actually be the E what? E4, E4, and then the area number, which is going to be column number. Then the column number is going to be, I think there's, oh, okay. Oh, something's wrong.
Four. Four. This is four. Form. Gather take like five long pepper. Remove the thickness is not around them. The she tell you that she's not coming this way. But then take long pepper.
Can you
Get
hear me? Can you
ginger
still
garlic
hear me?
and lemon.
Hello?
Bring the tomatoes out of the
Can
freezer.
anyone hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
hear.
yeah, getting
Oh,
you.
okay. Sorry, I didn't know I was on mute. So, like I was saying, the mistake I was making actually, the if you're calculating the index, it should be the index of the number because it's a number. So the chocolate chip here actually is on number one on the row of the array that we want to create. All right. So this is where we are then going to put our formula instead against to the other place that we wanted to put it. So we are going to have our equals to index. All right. And then our array is definitely going to be this, comma. Then the row number is going to be this particular one. All right. And then it's enter, it should always bring it. Okay. So if we do, I want to try and let's say if you do 3, okay, it changes. All right. So what this does is, don't forget that the other time we were doing the match and we were using this particular column to actually get the position. Now we are doing the index and we are using this position column to get the index that the particular product is out of it. So if you do 5, that should give you sugar. Okay. So do you understand the difference between the two? If you do 8, automatically it's going to be ref because you don't have as much number up to 8 in this area. Then if you do 4, you have snake and doodle. So the difference between the index and the match, let's probably just going to quickly try the match again so that we'll see the difference. When we were doing the match, we had only this this area, which is the one we are using to calculate basically. So once we change this area, it gives us the equivalent match. Now, once we change the number, it gives us the equivalent detail that is within that index. The number 4 index, it brings it out. If you give it 3, for example, it brings it out. Does anyone have a question? Is there any question today on this that we've done? Okay, so I'll take that as though, okay, Ayotunde, can you please go for it? Ayotunde, please unmute yourself and speak up, please. Hello, Ayotunde, you raised your hand up. Are you still with us? Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me, please?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, okay. So Ayotunde is not saying anything. I guess we just quickly go for our quiz. But is there any other question? There's still VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP that we actually can do, but we need more data. I'm not sure this data actually, we can get the best out of it. So probably we can try that before the next class, and then we can ask questions based on, what we find out about it. Do we have any question regarding what we've had so far? Oh, the hand was a mistake. No, no problem. Should we go for our quiz then if we do not have any question?
Hello, sorry. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Um, this class was not very pleasant for me because I was lost in so many
Sorry, can you
areas.
speak up? I'm struggling to hear you.
Okay, so today's class was not very pleasant for me because I got lost in a lot of areas. But I'm hoping I'll get to go through the videos and practice and get it right. But I struggled with downloading the data. I wanted to know if I want to draft the pivot table from the data. Am I supposed to highlight the whole data? How am I supposed to do it? Because
No, you don't have to
I
highlight the whole data when you want to do the pivot table. So the pivot table itself automatically, if your data is properly claimed, the pivot table automatically highlights the data itself. There was something I showed to the people who were together, who were on the call earlier, before we actually clean this data, and the difference between a clean data and an unclean data and the effects it can have. But say, for example, you want to have a pivot table. If your data is properly clean, the pivot table should actually pick up your data completely. As you can see that it already picks up the data. Can you see the line around it? And if you look at it up to the downward of the data, you can see that it picks it up. And that is the information you have here. And if you click on existing worksheets, then it means that your data is going to come to your pivot table will appear on an existing worksheet. If you use a new worksheet, it means that it will appear on a new worksheet. Does that answer your question?
okay, I think that does. Okay, so when I'm
Sorry?
able to clean the data, yes, it does. It does. I think I forgot about that part when I downloaded it. So I didn't clean
Okay,
the
do you now
data.
remember
So I
it?
think it only selected the part to where I had the empty rows. So I'll correct that. But then I wanted to know if I am querying that pivot table, how do I know which to put where? That's if I'm putting products under which filters, I think there are four areas that you were working with. Filter, then we had the
Yeah.
role and the color. So I guess it depends on what I'm trying to do, right? Like I was trying to get what
Yes.
you were representing. I
Yes.
couldn't navigate which one went where.
Oh, okay, okay. So one thing I have to let you know is that you see the ability, the sweetness of being a data analyst is actually knowing what you want out of the data. What you want out of the data will inform you on what to do with the data to get the results you're looking for. I gave different example when we were trying a couple of things, and I remember that there was a time I was saying that if you wanted to get like the revenue per customer, that how do we do that? All right. And then what I did was to take the customer, put it in the row. All right. And you can see this is the revenue per customer. Let's delete this row, which is just a percentage. Sorry. Okay, so I wanted to delete this row before, but it's saying I'm not able to delete it. and that's strange, it should be able to delete. But again, you have each of your customer, and then you say that, okay, each customer actually, this is the amount you get from each customer. Let's say, for example, you don't want to know the amount from each customer. What you're interested in is the each amount that each product actually brings in as revenue this year. Now you have 5 customers. You can decide to put your products in a row so that I can look at that real quick. And then what do you have here? You have the amount of each of the products. So you know that chocolate chips in total of four, in the total of 4,690,250. Chocolate chips brings 1,691,197. This other product brings this amount. If you want to know which of the customers, so it depends on what you are looking for within the data. You must, as a data analyst, know what is actually the objective of the analysis that you want to do, so that that objective will inform what you are investigating out of your data. There is this very funny saying within the data world that a data is like, is like a case. Whatever it is you want to get out of it, you can always get out of it. So it then depends on you to know what you want to get out of the data so that you can get what you intend to get out of the data. We can both be given the same data, and then we are given different objectives to look into the data, and we'll get different results based on the different target that we all have for each of the data. Do you understand? So it depends on you, first of all, to even know what you're trying to get out of the data. And that was why I said earlier that the fact that we are doing practice is the reason why you see that we are playing around with a lot of things so that I can understand. All right. If there were to be a specific goal for the analysis that we want to do with this data, we would have stick with that specific goal, and then that would have been what will inform every action that we take with our data investigation. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, sir. It does.
All right, cool. So very quickly before time, let's quickly get to our quiz. We are running out of time very quickly. I hope that we all have joined. I hope that we have all joined the Slido so that we can take part in it. So please join. Let's quickly have, like we always do, let's quickly have a quiz and see how we're doing with our understanding of today's class. Don't forget to always use, don't forget to always join the quiz. Let's get it started. You can use the QR code on the screen. Semintayo has joined. We're just going to have 1 minute for others to join. So anyone who has not joined in 1 minute's time can then probably join as the quiz goes on. How to join? Just scan the QR code on the screen or enter this number #1109513 when you log in into your Slido account. So we'll start the quiz now. Temitayo, each of these quiz actually have a countdown. Let's begin. And let's see how many will be correctly gotten. Okay. Correct. The next question. Correct. Next question. Correct. Next question. Okay, well done, everyone. At least out of the three participants, we have Rebecca who scored 8 over 12 within 2 minutes 31 seconds. We have Temitayo who also scored 8 over 12 within 3 minutes 16 seconds. And we have Dorcas who also scored 5 over 12 within 1 minute 56 seconds. This is not bad, at least for the first time that we are introducing the course to you. At least it shows a good level of understanding if a student could score 8 over 12. For Dorcas, I want to believe it's because she joined the slide late. I'm not sure she's able to answer all of the questions, and that might be the cause for it. So well done, guys. Still don't forget to go and review, what we've taught today. And if you have any question again tomorrow, you can come back and then we can treat it before we have our class tomorrow. The last thing on our list today is to rate, today's class. Just the same way we've done, just quickly rate today's class. Overall, how would you rate your learning experience in today's class? 1 being satisfying, not satisfying at all, and five being very satisfying. We only have 2 minutes to get that done. So let's have the rating like we usually done so that we can know where to actually, improve. Okay. So can we also have others vote so that we can, okay. So today is 3.3 stars out of 5. We have 6 people in the house. Network was slow. Okay, that's fine. All right. So please don't forget to always give us feedback within the WhatsApp group so that also you can let us know where we can improve. And don't forget that we also have some advanced courses that cover way beyond, these ones that we are learning in the masterclass. I'm sure the Maritech have something like that, that you can actually learn very much, more than what we are trying to learn here, where we probably might be able to use the real Excel sheet and it will make things, a bit more easier and then the flow will be smoother. So thank you very much for today's class. Thank you for attending. We'll see you tomorrow and then we'll get it continue from there. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.